No one asked if I wanted to be their salvation. They just took me. The sentence keeps replaying in my head like a bad radio loop, tinny and relentless. As the doors seal behind me with a hush designed to sound kind. Everything here is designed to sound kind. The walls are white, not the medical gray that admits fear, but a creamy, careful white meant to whisper safe. The bed is soft enough that when I sit, I sink an inch. There's a bookshelf with curated titles, a plant that is absolutely real and tragically thriving, and an oblong mirror that is not a mirror at all. One-way glass. I can feel the eyes on the other side like heat from a lamp. I ball the sheet in my hands and tell myself to breathe. It smells like something pretending to be lavender, not like a field, like a seasonal candle. There's a camera flush with the ceiling. No blinking red dot, cute, but its presence buzzes against my skin. My pulse jumps where the IV once was, and the phantom prick on my inner elbow whispers, "If you faint, they will catch you. If you run, someone will walk faster than you." When the door opens, it doesn't hiss. It sighs. He fills the frame like he was measured for it. Tall, broad shoulders outlined under a white coat, black shirt, dark slacks. The first thing I notice is the streaks of silver at his temples, the kind that look born of stress, not vanity. The second is his mouth, closed in a line that is too careful to be indifference. He carries a tablet he doesn't look at. "Eli," he says, voice low and even, like he's talking to a skittish horse and a jury at the same time. "I'm Dr. Torin Hale." Hale. Appropriate. He looks hardy enough to arm wrestle a mountain and win. I stare at the oblong mirror over his shoulder and see only my own. Reflection, 22, toothin', wrists I'd prefer to hide. Dark. Hair in need of a cut. Eyes a color I've been told is interesting in that way people say when they don't want to say strange. My face is pale, but my gaze, good news, isn't. I am not giving them that. Do I get a last name too? I ask. Or did those get confiscated with my shoes? He doesn't glance at my bare feet. He doesn't glance anywhere but me, which is either a tactic or a flaw. We have your full file. But I'd rather you tell me how you'd like to be addressed. There's a chair in the corner. Wood, not metal. He pulls it up but doesn't sit. Space matters, I think. He's measuring it with the kind of attention people usually save for explosives. Eli's fine, I say. For my kidnappers. A flicker, so subtle I almost doubt it, skates across his mouth. We prefer team. You prefer a lot of things, apparently. I gesture at the bookshelf. Poetry. Soft lighting. Simulated lavender. It's sweet. You keep slaves politely? That's innovative. The flicker dies. The line of his mouth returns. We don't keep slaves, Eli. He doesn't say my surname because he never asked. We keep hope. Hope. The word lands like a coin in an empty well. A sound, not a solution. I snort before I can stop myself. Then you shouldn't have locked the door. It locks for safety, he says. And he means it. And that is somehow worse. The outside world is not safe for you right now. The people who took you, we intervened. You're not in danger here. Except from the people in charge of the locks. He acknowledges the point, with a small tilt of his head. I watch his throat move as he swallows something down. A retort or guilt, or both. Close up, he smells like clean soap and a thread of cedar. Which is ridiculous because I don't want to know that. Unfortunately, my body thinks knowledge is survival, so it is collecting facts while my pride does commentary. He glances at the knot mirror. May I explain the parameters of your stay? I flop back on the bed, dramatic because that's what I have. By all means. Sell me the features of my deluxe suite. He doesn't laugh. He also doesn't admonish me. This room is yours. You have access to entertainment, books, music. You can request items. You can walk the hall with an escort at designated times. You will have 3 health checks daily. We will draw blood twice a week. He pauses. No one will touch you without your explicit verbal consent. The last line is a thrown rope. The knot is neat. I can admire handiwork and still not grab it. And if I don't consent to anything, I ask softly, His jaw works once. Then nothing happens to your body that you do not choose, he says, voice flat with effort. And we keep you safe until we can guarantee your safe release. Release. I roll the word in my mouth like a lemon drop. From what, exactly? His eyes don't flinch. They're a warm brown that should be easier to forgive than they are. From men who will not ask before they take, he says. From a market that would measure you. From extinction. The last word scrapes me. It's melodramatic. It's also the only one that feels like the truth he came here to say. Let me guess, I say lightly. Because if I don't, my voice will tremble. This is where the sales pitch pivots to destiny. This is where I tell you why you're here, he answers. Not what you owe us. He finally sits. The chair doesn't creak under him. The room is too curated for that kind of honesty. You carry a genetic variant we have been tracking, he says. It's rare. It's valuable. Not for money. His mouth tightens. For survival. For your kind, I supply. Dry. Say it. We both know the script. I won't put you in a category to make this easier. He sets the tablet on his knee, untouched. You are Eli. You are young. You are frightened and angry, and you're here because others would put you in a cage to harvest you until you break. I am here to ensure no one does that. Including us. Silence blooms, thick and pressurized. For a second, I feel less like prey and more like a paradox he's trying not to worship. I crack first. You're very composed for a kidnapper. I was a soldier. He doesn't blink when he says it, but the word ghost wrinkles the skin beside his eyes. It's efficient. Efficient, I echo, staring up at the blank white. Is that what this is? Efficiency with a conscience? It's the best I can do inside an imperfect world. He looks at my bare toes. Not because he's avoiding my face, but because he's cataloging, circulation, warmth, fear. I expect you to hate me. I don't say I don't. That would be too generous. I also don't say that hatred usually feels like fire, and this feels like falling into cold water. Shocking, breath-stealing, clarifying, and terrible. My heartbeat has slowed from sprint to steady jog. The lavender scent is still wrong, but it's less aggressive now. Do I get to choose my meals, at least? I ask. And by meals I mean anything that isn't beige and liquefied. That flicker again. You can. I'll have something sent. Make it something that reminds me I'm not a hospital patient. I settle on my side, curling an arm beneath my head. Pizza. With mushrooms. And olives. And petty rebellion. I'll see what I can do, he says. No alcohol. Not even a mercy shot? No. Figures. I squint at him. And the mirror? One way, he says, unapologetic. I'll reduce observation if you request it during certain hours. But not yet. So the rules are flexible until they aren't. The kindness is genuine until it hits a fence. I'm not sure if fence is him or the place. He stands, sliding the chair back to its corner with the kind of care people use with sleeping children and explosive devices. The door recognizes him and sighs again. He lingers, one hand against the panel. Eli, he says without turning. You are not property. If anyone treats you as such here, you tell me. The pause is small and sharp. And I'll fix it. My laugh comes out thinner than intended. With what? A stern memo? With whatever is necessary. He leaves before I can decide if that was a threat or a promise. The mirror holds my reflection holds my stare. I count the breaths between hums in the ceiling, and somewhere around 30, a panel opens and a tray glides in on a whispering runner. Steam curls from a slice of pizza that is trying very hard to be pizza. It smells close. The olives are glossy. The mushrooms are too neat. There's a small note tucked under the plate. Not beige. Tea. I shouldn't smile. I absolutely do not smile. Hope, I tell the empty room. You keep hope here. I pick up a slice and bite. The sauce is too sweet. The crust is too perfect. I eat it anyway, glaring at the mirror like I can glare all the way through. Fine, I say, my voice a little steadier, as sodium does what doctors never can. You keep hope. I'll keep my name. My heart slows another notch. The plant in the corner is very, very green. And somewhere beyond the glass, a man with silver at his temples and a voice like an apology is either watching me or refusing to. I can't tell which is worse. The room has settled around me like a silk noose. At first glance, it's comfortable, too comfortable. The sheets are soft. The lighting hovers somewhere between morning sun and cozy evening lamp, and there are more books on the shelf than I've ever owned at once. Someone thought about this. Someone thought very hard about what a 22-year-old Omega might need to feel safe. It only makes the cage more obvious. The mirror, no, the window, hasn't blinked since last night. That doesn't mean no one's watching. If I tilt my head just right, the sheen betrays the faint circle of a camera lens. There are no screws in the walls, no seams in the ceiling panels. Even the air vents are designed to vanish. A magician's trick. If you can't see the trap, maybe you'll forget it's there. I test it anyway. I slide a book off the shelf, an anthology of modern poetry, and flip through it with careful fingers. Every third page smells faintly of glue, newer than the rest. I rap my knuckles against the spine. Hollow. Maybe there's a tracker inside. Maybe I'm paranoid. Both can be true. On the desk, there's a music player, sleek and glossy. I scroll through the preset playlists, classical, ambient, folk, even pop hits from 5 years ago. Nothing recent, nothing raw. It's like someone combed through culture to remove any trace of rebellion. Too perfect, I mutter, setting the device down. Someone curated my prison like a Pinterest board. The door sighs open again. Same gentle sound. Same deliberate non-threat. Torin steps in, coat crisp, hair damp at the edges like he showers in military time. His expression hasn't changed from yesterday. Neither has the tablet in his hand. Same screen, dark. I'm half convinced it's a prop. "Morning, Eli," he says. I stretch out on the bed, hands folded behind my head. "Morning, Warden." His gaze flickers, not with annoyance, but acknowledgement. He pulls the chair forward again and sits this time. "I came to explain why you're here." "Oh, great. The brochure." I roll my eyes toward the ceiling. "Go ahead. Convince me this is voluntary." He doesn't flinch. "You are an Omega, you know that. But you're also something else. Genetic testing confirmed you carry a variant we believed extinct. A fertility marker. Stronger, cleaner, more viable than any we've cataloged in decades." I bark a laugh. It echoes off the 2 white walls. "So I'm a rare trading card. Congratulations." "Not a card." His voice is steady, but something tenses in his jaw. "Our kind is declining. Birth rates are collapsing. Packs fracture, bonds fail. In 2 generations we may not exist. So you need me." I point to myself. Dramatic. The miracle womb. The genetic jackpot. Insert me into your spreadsheets and watch civilization bloom. His silence stretches, not because he doesn't have an answer. Because mine is close enough to the truth. I sit up, swing my legs over the side of the bed, and glare at him. "Let me guess. All voluntary, right? Nothing happens without my say-so. Except the part where I didn't say yes to being here in the first place." His eyes meet mine. Brown, steady, unreadable. "We rescued you. From one cage into another. At least these walls come with bookshelves." I sweep a hand toward the decor. It's almost charming. Wallpapered captivity. The words snap sharper than intended. Wallpapered captivity. I savor it like poison on my tongue. He doesn't rise to the bait. He just sits, hands folded loosely, as if patience is part of his bloodstream. The stillness is infuriating. Yelling at someone who won't argue back feels like punching fog. "You really believe this is better," I accuse. "That because you smile and hand me pizza instead of chains, I should be grateful?" "I don't expect gratitude." His voice dips. Softer. "Only that you live." It cuts deeper than shouting would have. Because I want to argue with him. I want to claw at the bars until my nails break. But he's not giving me bars. He's giving me comfort. And that makes me feel more trapped than steel. I shove off the bed and pace the room, counting steps. 10 to the wall, 10 back. My skin prickles. What happens if I refuse? What if I say I don't want to be anyone's salvation? You have that right. His gaze follows me, unblinking. Nothing will be forced. Except my presence here, I snap. He inclines his head slightly. A concession, not denial. The honesty stings worse than a lie would, because it means he knows. He knows this is wrong, and he's still here, playing his role. Why? I ask finally. My voice cracks. A betrayal. Why you? Why do this job if you know it's a prison? For the first time, his eyes flick away, just briefly, to the corner where the plant thrives too green. Because if not me, then someone who wouldn't care at all. I freeze. My anger trembles on its legs, suddenly less certain. That's your excuse? I whisper. That's my choice. His gaze returns to mine, unyielding. I can't dismantle the system overnight, but I can ensure you are treated as a person inside it. I laugh again, bitter this time. Some person. I'm a lab rat with throw pillows. He doesn't correct me, doesn't defend himself, just absorbs the blow in silence. And for the first time since I woke in this place, I feel my fury falter. Not because it's wrong, but because it's met with nothing but patience. And patience feels like pity. I hate pity. Get out, I say, low, before I throw this plan at you. He rises slowly, carefully, as if any sudden movement might snap me in half. He sets the chair back in its corner. At the door, he pauses. Wallpaper or not, he says quietly. A cage is still a cage. I don't blame you for hating it. Or me. Then he leaves. The sigh of the door lingers. The silence after him is heavier than before. I sit back on the bed, fists clenched in the sheets, and tell myself I won't cry. The plant in the corner glows too green, too alive. And all I can think is, he didn't deny it. Not once. The lab is nothing like my room, where mine pretends at comfort, soft lights, careful colors. This place doesn't bother with illusions. It's glass and steel, humming machines, walls that glow with shifting data. 100 tiny lights blink in rhythm like a heartbeat I can't escape. Cold, efficient, honest, at least. They let me walk here under escort, though escort is just a polite word for the guard shadowing my steps. Torin is already inside, bent over a console that paints his face in pale blue. His white coat hangs open, sleeves rolled up, veins visible at his wrists as his fingers sweep across the screen. He doesn't notice me at first, or maybe he pretends not to. He moves with the same precision as the machines. Smooth, relentless, no wasted gestures. I lean against the glass wall, arms crossed. Do you ever sleep, Dr. Hale? Or do you run on pure self-importance? He doesn't startle, doesn't even look up. I sleep 4 hours a night. It's sufficient. Of course it is. Soldiers always think survival equals sufficiency. I scan the room. Racks of samples, lines of coded vials, machines whispering like mechanical monks. It should terrify me, and maybe it does. But mostly it feels too clean, too detached. This is where people become numbers. I wonder what number I am. You know, I continue. If this were a TV show, you'd be the brooding doctor. Stoic, tragic backstory. Probably played by someone with good hair and an accent. That earns me something I don't expect. A short exhale through his nose, almost but not quite, a laugh. His head tilts just enough to catch me in his peripheral vision. Good hair? Yeah. I shrug, smirking. The kind you ruin by running your hands through it after a long surgery scene. Viewers swoon. Tragic violins play. His mouth actually curves. Not a full smile, but the faintest arc, reluctant, like it escaped before he could cage it. It makes him look human, which is unsettling, because I've spent 2 days convincing myself he isn't. I don't have an accent, he says. Shame, I reply. That would have sold it. The silence that follows isn't hostile. It's quieter, less like being observed, more like sharing air. I hate that I notice. Torin turns back to his console, tapping a sequence that brings up graphs climbing and falling like mountain ranges. His shoulders are rigid, but I can see it now. The weight pressing into them, the exhaustion in the lines beside his eyes. He works like someone who doesn't know how to stop. You'll burn out, I say before I can stop myself. His hands pause. Just briefly. Then, it doesn't matter. Of course it matters, I snap. If the noble martyr keels over, who's left to explain the wallpapered cage to the next victim? This time, when he looks at me fully, the brown of his eyes is less steady than yesterday. Not unkind, just tired. You're observant, he murmurs. Too observant. Part of the charm. I cross my ankles, pretending I don't care that my chest is tight. So what are you cooking up here? More invisible bars? New flavors of beige mush? He glances down at the container by his desk. I follow his gaze. A tray waits, covered, steam leaking faintly from beneath the lid. When he slides it toward me, the aroma punches through the sterile air. Not chemical, not synthetic. Real. I blink. That's food. Dinner, he corrects. Chicken, rice, vegetables. Cooked in the kitchens upstairs. Not processed. I eye it like it might explode. What's the catch? No catch. He folds his arms, mirroring me now. You said you wanted meals that reminded you you're not a patient. I take the tray, the warmth seeping into my fingers. The smell twists something low in my stomach. For a second, I don't know whether to eat or cry. I settle for sarcasm. Careful, doctor. Next you'll be sneaking in dessert and winning me over. Another flicker at his mouth. He doesn't deny it. I stab a piece of chicken with a plastic fork, chew, swallow. It tastes ordinary, which makes it extraordinary. Salt, pepper, a hint of garlic. Not perfect, not curated, just food. I glance at him, still standing, still too composed. Why? The word escapes. Raw. Why bother? Because you asked, he says simply. And because you should remember what normal feels like. Normal. I almost laugh, but my throat is tight. I look down at the tray again, then back at him. For the first time, I don't see just the coat, the authority, the cage. I see a man, a tired one, stubbornly trying to give me scraps of dignity in a place designed to strip it away. It's dangerous, this recognition. Dangerous and warm and infuriating all at once. I take another bite anyway. The lights in my room dim on a timer, sliding from sterile daylight to the muted glow of a late evening lamp. Usually that's my cue to prepare for another lonely stretch of silence. Tonight, though, Torin doesn't leave. He sits in the chair he's claimed as his, coat folded neatly over the back. Without it, he looks less like a scientist and more like something else. His shoulders fill the dark shirt he wears like it's still a uniform. His posture is too straight, too trained. And when he exhales, I hear the soldier he used to be. You were military, I say, not quite a question. He nods once. Infantry. Later, command. Most of my adult life. Figures. I flop back against the pillows, arms spread wide. Explains why you talk like every sentence has to pass inspection. His mouth twitches. Discipline is efficient. Efficient. I taste the word like it's bitter coffee. Is that how you ended up here? Obeying orders until you forgot how to say no? He doesn't bristle. He doesn't deny it either. Obedience kept people alive. When I stopped questioning, men under me survived longer. His gaze flicks toward the floor, as if there are ghosts lined up there. It became habit. Something twists in my chest. I shouldn't care. But the way he says it, flat, almost clinical, sounds like someone describing scar tissue instead of flesh. Habit can kill you too, I murmur. Or worse. It can trap you. He looks up then, eyes steady on mine. Brown, but not dull. There's a depth in them I've tried hard not to notice. And what was your habit, Eli? I laugh, short and sharp. Running. Always running. From rules, from expectations, from the people who thought they could claim me just because of what I was born as. My throat tightens. Freedom was the only thing I ever really had. And now, I gesture at the walls, at the 2-green plant, at him. Now that's gone. Silence falls. Thick, but not suffocating. He leans back slightly, studying me like I'm more than data. Like I'm a person with weight. You're angry, he says. I snort. Congratulations, doctor. You win the obvious prize. No. His voice dips, quieter. You're angry because you've lost something you valued. That's different than anger for its own sake. It's ridiculous, but I almost smile. You're too serious. And you're too stubborn. The words land softer than they should, like the faint thud of a pillow fight, instead of blows. For a heartbeat, we're just two people in a dim room, trading jabs, because the alternative is admitting how lonely it feels here. I roll onto my side, propping my head on my hand. You know, most captors don't stay for bedtime stories. I'm not your captor. His voice is calm, certain. Then what are you? I challenge. He doesn't answer immediately. He just watches me, expression unreadable. Finally, he says, someone trying to make an impossible situation less unbearable. It's too honest, too naked. My chest tightens again, and I push it down with sarcasm. Careful, doctor. Keep this up and I'll start thinking you have feelings. Another flicker at his mouth. Almost a smile. We lapse into silence again. But it's different this time. Not hostile. Not heavy. Just quiet, with edges softened by shared words. I catch myself watching the angle of his jaw, the silver at his temples, the way his hands rest, open, not clenched. He's not looming, not commanding, just present, dangerous, whispers a voice in my head. He's not quite the enemy, and that's what makes him dangerous. I close my eyes briefly, willing the thought away. But when I open them, he's still there, still steady, still human. Good night, Eli, he says finally, rising from the chair. Good night, Warden, I shoot back, but softer this time, without the bite. The door sighs closed behind him, leaving me in the dim glow. My lips twitch, traitorous, into something too close to a smile, and I hate that part of me doesn't hate him anymore. The contact room is different from both my cozy prison and the cold lab. It's padded, soft, almost absurdly safe. The walls curve gently, upholstered in pale fabric that muffles every sound. There are no sharp edges, no corners. A room designed for collisions of instinct, dressed up as protection. And there are cameras, more of them, tiny dark eyes glinting above. They want to see everything. Every word, every glance, every breath. I sit cross-legged in the middle of the floor, heart thumping a little too fast. I tell myself it's irritation, not nerves. Irritation that they're treating me like an experiment with a behavioral enrichment schedule. Irritation that I agreed to this trial contact, though agreed is generous. More like I ran out of ways to refuse without starving myself into a lecture. The door sighs, and Torin steps in. He doesn't bring the tablet this time, just himself, in the same dark shirt and slacks. No lab coat. His jaw is tight, his shoulders drawn high, as if he's been holding his breath since yesterday and hasn't dared exhale. For a long moment, he just stands there, watching me. The silence stretches, taut and heavy. You look like you're about to get court-martialed, I say finally, voice dry. Perhaps I should, he mutters, more to himself than to me. He crosses the room slowly, but there's a stiffness in every movement. His hands are balled into fists, unclenching and clenching again. When he sits, too close, too carefully, he looks less like a scientist, and more like a soldier waiting for orders. You don't have to be here, I say, softer now. You could have sent someone else. No, he answers quickly, almost harsh. Then he forces a breath, steadies his tone. No, it should be me. The words land like a warning, or a promise. I lean back on my palms, trying to keep my breathing even. Fine. Then what's next in this little program? Do we play cards, or do you take my pulse while I pretend not to notice? His throat works as he swallows. His gaze flicks to me, fast, sharp, and then away. We talk, we see if it's safe. Safe. I almost laugh. Nothing about this is safe, least of all the way he's looking at me now, like he's been starving and I'm a meal he's forbidden to touch. You're making it weird, I say, trying for levity. My voice cracks anyway. And then it happens, the slip. He leans forward, not far, just enough, but the change is sudden, instinctual. His chest rises quicker, nostrils flaring. His breathing turns rough, audible. He doesn't touch me. He doesn't even raise a hand. But the air changes, charged and hot, as if some animal part of him has clawed free. My pulse spikes. I shuffle back across the padded floor, every hair on my arm standing on end. Don't, I whisper. It's enough. He freezes, mid-motion, like a statue caught between hunger and horror. His fists slam shut against his thighs. He forces his head down, breath sawing through clenched teeth. Seconds stretch like hours. Finally, he pushes himself back, retreating to the farthest corner of the room. His shoulders hunch as if he's ashamed of even existing. I'm sorry, he rasps, voice raw. I shouldn't have. Yeah, I snap, the word too sharp, too frightened. You shouldn't have. Silence, except for the hiss of my breathing. I press a palm to my chest as if I can flatten the wild rhythm there. I should feel vindicated, proof that he's no better than the rest, that his calm voice and careful words were just another mask. But the truth? The truth is worse. Because he did stop, because he pulled himself back before he crossed the line. And that somehow makes it more terrifying. Do you see? He says hoarsely, not looking at me. Do you see why this is dangerous? Why I shouldn't be near you? I glare at him, but the anger trembles in my chest, mixed with something I don't want to name. You're supposed to be different, I hiss. And you almost... My voice cracks. I bite down on the rest. His head bows lower. The silver in his hair glints under the camera lights. He looks broken, a soldier who followed every rule until instinct betrayed him. I hate that pity stirs in me. I shove it down hard. I draw my knees to my chest, curling tight. Get out, I say. My voice is steady now, colder. Before the cameras see more than they already have. For a long moment, he doesn't move. Then he stands, every muscle taut, and leaves without another word. The door sighs shut. The padded silence swallows me whole. I hug my knees tighter, fighting the sting in my eyes. Goodness, kindness, patience. Those were supposed to be safer than violence. But tonight, I learned the truth. Sometimes, goodness is just another predator. And that is worse than any cage. The silence is the loudest thing about this place. 3 days, and the door hasn't sighed open once for him. Not at morning check. Not at evening lights. Not even during the sterile little meals that slide through the wall like offerings from invisible priests. Other staff come and go. Nurses, guards, technicians, but not him. At first, I told myself it was a blessing. Good riddance. Less chance of another moment, like the contact room. Less chance of watching him break and drag me down with him. I even laughed the first night, bitter and bright, at how predictable it was. The noble alpha runs away from his own shadow. But the laugh didn't last. Now the quiet drips like a leak in the ceiling, steady, maddening. It pools in my chest until all I can do is drown in it. I pace the room, 10 steps across, 10 back, bare feet whispering against the polished floor. I try reading. The poetry anthology, a novel about lovers in a ruined city. Even the faux lavender plant seems to leer at me. None of it works. My eyes skim, but my mind loops back to one thing, the way he froze, fists clenched, breathing like he was on fire, and the way he fled from himself, more than from me. He's afraid of himself, I muttered to the empty room, more than I'm afraid of him. The truth lands heavy, and I hate it, because if he's running from his own instincts, then where does that leave me? Alone in a room designed to be kinder than a cage, with pillows instead of chains, lamps instead of bars. It's still a prison, a wallpapered one. I flop onto the bed, staring at the ceiling until my eyes blur. Perfect. Sterile walls and Stockholm Syndrome in the starter kit. The ceiling doesn't laugh. The mirror doesn't answer. My chest aches in ways I don't like to name. Because the worst part isn't that he almost lost control. The worst part is that now I notice he's gone. I catch myself listening for the sigh of the door, waiting for his voice. Low, steady, apologetic, even when he doesn't say sorry. And when it doesn't come, the silence swells larger. I bury my face in the pillow, groaning. You're pathetic, Eli. Waiting for the man who terrifies you to come back? Brilliant survival strategy. But sarcasm doesn't stop the pulse in my throat, the jittery ache in my bones. It doesn't erase the image of him standing in the corner of the padded room, fists trembling, shame carved deep into his shoulders. I should hate him. I should want him gone forever. Instead, I find myself rehearsing what I'll say if he ever does come back. Sharp lines, clever retorts, a perfectly barbed greeting, something that will cut him before he can cut me again. But underneath it, deep, dangerous, I know the truth. I don't want him gone. I want him to open the door, to sit in the chair by the bed again, to argue with me about cages and habits and whether stubbornness is a virtue. I want to see that flicker of almost smile, to hear the rough honesty when he admits the world is imperfect and so is he. And that terrifies me more than the cameras, more than the bars I can't see. Because cages aren't just walls and locks. Sometimes they're people. Sometimes they're the waiting you can't stop yourself from doing. The plant in the corner thrives, oblivious, leaves too green for my mood. The books sit in their perfect rows. The music player hums when I touch it, cycling through playlists that never surprise me. Everything here is curated, safe, predictable. Everything except him, and now he's gone, leaving me with nothing but the echo of my own bitterness. I close my eyes and whisper to the empty room. Come back, coward. The door does not sigh. Only the silence answers, heavy and absolute. The lab is colder than I remember. The lights blaze too bright, washing every surface into a sterile glare. Screens hum, machines click in endless rhythm, and the air tastes faintly of ozone and disinfectant. He's there, as always, hunched over a console like the world depends on the alignment of 1,000 blinking graphs. His coat hangs loose, sleeves rolled, hair more silver than dark under the harsh lights. He doesn't look up when I enter. Maybe he doesn't hear the guards swipe the door for me, or maybe he pretends not to. He's good at pretending. I take 3 steps in, the door sighs shut behind me, and the sound makes him finally lift his head. Eli. My name comes out startled, like he didn't expect me to walk into his territory uninvited. Dr. Hale. I cross my arms, though my heart is hammering against my ribs. I got tired of waiting for your cowardice to wear off. His brows pull together. Cowardice? Yeah. I take another step closer, pulse racing but voice steady. You run, not from me, from yourself, from whatever's in you that you're afraid I'll see. His mouth opens, closes. He looks unmoored, and that shakes me, because Torin always looks in control, even when he's breaking apart inside. You don't understand, he says finally. Low, rough. I laugh, sharp. Of course I don't, because you don't let me. You'd rather wall yourself off and hide behind discipline and silence. But here's the thing. I jab a finger at him. I'm still here. You almost lost it, and guess what? I didn't vanish. I didn't break. You did. The words hit harder than I intended. His jaw tightens, eyes narrowing. Not in anger, never anger. Shame. You should hate me, he says. Maybe I do. I shrug, my chest aching with the weight of it. But I'm still here. And that has to mean something. Silence drops heavy between us. The machines hum, the graphs climb and fall, and I feel like I've thrown a grenade into his chest. Finally, he speaks, voice rough as gravel. Why come here? Because if you're too much of a coward to face me, then I'll face you. My arms fall to my sides. You were wrong, Torin. But so was I. I thought you were just another captor, just another face in the machine, but you're more complicated than that, and I hate that I see it. He stares at me like I've cracked open the earth under his feet. For once, no answer, no controlled reply. Just him, caught. The silence stretches until I can't stand it. I move, one step, then another, until I'm close enough to feel the warmth rolling off him. He stiffens, every line of his body shouting restraint. This is me choosing, I say quietly. My hand hovers near his arm but doesn't touch. Not them. Not your orders. Me. His breath catches. His gaze flicks from my hand to my face, and something raw flashes there. Fear, longing, disbelief. Eli, no. I cut him off. Steady now. Don't Eli me. Just listen. You messed up. I know that. But so did I. I let myself think you were only a monster, so when you proved me wrong, I didn't know what to do with it. But I'm done pretending. I don't want safe silence. I want truth. Even if it hurts. For a moment, the lab feels too small. The light's too harsh. And then, he exhales. A sound like surrender. He doesn't move closer. He doesn't reach for me. But the tension in his shoulders loosens, just slightly, as if he's been waiting for permission to breathe. I step that last inch forward until my knuckles brush his sleeve. The contact is nothing, barely skin to fabric, but it feels like setting fire to the script they wrote for us. His eyes close briefly, and when they open, they're no longer the guarded brown of my jailer. They're just his. You don't know what you're choosing, he whispers. Maybe not, I admit, but it's still mine. The words hang there, fragile, dangerous, honest, and for the first time since the cage closed around me, I feel something break. Not in me, not in him, but in the wall between us. We stand there, not touching, not moving, but closer than we've ever been. The machines hum, the graphs climb, the world keeps turning, and inside this sterile, merciless lab, something almost human grows. Something that feels like the beginning of freedom. The order comes down in the middle of the night. I don't hear the words myself. I see them in Torin's face when he bursts into my room, jaw clenched, eyes dark in the low light. He doesn't even pretend calm this time. His hands are shaking as he seals the door behind him. They want the program accelerated, he says, voice like broken glass. No more delays. My blood runs cold. Accelerated meaning you don't get to choose anymore. His gaze burns into mine, raw and desperate. I won't let that happen. Before I can reply, he crosses the room and fastens something cold around my wrist. I look down. A military-grade band, matte black. Small screen glowing with faint coordinates. A bracelet? I lift my wrist, brows raised. What is this? A friendship accessory? Matching ones for the whole team? His mouth twitches. Not humor exactly, but the ghost of it. It'll open the doors. And block your tracker. My heart lurches. You mean we're leaving? For a split second, the words don't compute. Then they slam into me, harder than any alarm. I laugh. Nervous. Wild. Well, an escape from a scientific prison. Just my favorite movie genre. Stay close to me, he says, already moving. His tone leaves no space for argument. The bracelet vibrates softly against my skin as the door unlocks with a hiss. The hallway yawns ahead, sterile walls washed red by emergency lights. Somewhere in the distance, sirens pulse, too muffled to be coincidence. Torin takes point, steps long and silent, his body angled between me and the world. I follow, barefoot on cold metal, adrenaline shaking my bones. We round a corner, 2 guards stand ahead, armed. My breath catches, but before panic can root me, Torin surges forward. A blur of fists, precision, military efficiency. One drops with a grunt, the other staggers back against the wall. He doesn't kill them. He doesn't need to. Move, he hisses, grabbing my arm, pushing me forward. My pulse slams in my ears. My body feels both too light and too heavy, like my bones might float out of my skin. I force myself to keep pace, my bracelet buzzing softly each time Torin swipes it across a scanner. Doors yield, locks collapse. We weave through corridors, past storage rooms, medical bays, more guards whose radios crackle with alerts. Torin shoves me into alcoves, shields me with his body when footsteps thunder by. Each close call twists my gut tighter. This is insane, I mutter, clutching the bracelet like it's the only thing holding me together. Absolutely insane. Keep moving. His voice is low, clipped, but there's heat in it. Almost there. Another checkpoint looms, thicker door, keypad glowing. Torin crouches, fingers flying across the panel. Numbers scroll, denied access flashing red. My heart climbs into my throat. Hurry, I whisper. I am. His tone is sharp, but sweat beads at his temple. For the first time, I see not the soldier, not the scientist, just a man gambling everything. Behind us, boots pound, shouts echo. Torin, I hiss. The keypad blinks green. The door slides open. He yanks me through, slamming it shut behind us. We stumble into a corridor darker than the others, lit by emergency strips that flicker overhead. The air smells of metal, and something older, dustier. A service tunnel. He exhales, hard, almost out, almost. A dangerous word. We run. My chest burns, lungs raw, but I don't stop. Fear drives me, yes, but something else too. A thread of wild hope pulling me forward. Then I do it without thinking. I reach out and grab his hand. His fingers tense in surprise, then curl around mine, strong and grounding. For the first time, I'm not being pulled along. I'm holding him too. The gesture is small, stupid maybe, but it feels like everything. Like choosing. We burst through another door into the night air, sharp, cold, unfiltered. The sky above is starless, blank with cloud, but to me it feels like freedom. Alarms blare behind us, lights sweeping across the compound, but I'm laughing, breathless. Congratulations, I gasp, tugging his hand tighter. You've officially upgraded me from prisoner to fugitive. His eyes meet mine in the half-dark, fierce and terrified and alive. I'll take it, and for the first time, I believe him. The mountains smell different from anything I've known. Sharp pine, damp earth. Smoke curling from the chimney of the small house we now call ours. It's imperfect, creaking floors, uneven stones, windows that rattle when the wind howls. But it doesn't feel like a cage. It feels like breath. The first night, Torin lit a fire in the old stone hearth. I sat cross-legged in front of it, watching the flames lick the logs, heat soaking into my skin until my bones stopped shivering. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, I wasn't waiting for a door to sigh shut behind me. We weren't alone for long. One by one, others found their way here. Runaways, cast-offs, survivors of the same system that had tried to break me. Their eyes carried the same exhaustion, the same wary disbelief at being offered safety without conditions. And somehow they looked to me. I hadn't asked for it. I never wanted it. But when they sat in the living room, shadows dancing across their faces, it was my words they waited for. My jokes that broke the silence. My insistence that this wasn't another prison. That we could shape it ourselves. That pulled a few reluctant smiles from lips cracked by fear. Freedom had always been my only possession. Now, it was something I could hand to others. Torin didn't claim the space. He didn't order, didn't command. He stood at the edges, building shelves, fixing the old locks, hauling firewood until his hands blistered. He didn't flinch when people glared at him, when suspicion sharpened their words. He just kept working, steady, quiet, a wall to lean against. At night, when the fire burned low and the others slept, I found him by the window, the soldier, the scientist, the man who had once been my warden. His eyes carried the weight of everything he'd done, everything he couldn't undo. But when he looked at me, there was no command in it, only a question. And every night, I answered by staying. One evening, after a long day of mending and organizing, I dropped onto the couch with a groan. My knees popped like old wood. Torin sank into the armchair opposite me, still smelling faintly of smoke and sweat. I stretched my arms wide, exaggerating the motion. So, this is it, huh? We've gone from sterile labs and padded rooms to this. I gestured at the mismatched furniture, the mountain of blankets someone had piled in the corner, the kettle whistling faintly in the kitchen. Our very own fixer-upper rebellion. His mouth twitched. It's holding together. Barely, I countered, though the smile tugging at my lips betrayed me. Silence stretched, but it was an easy one now, broken only by the crackle of the fire. Finally, I tilted my head, studying him. So what now? I asked. Do we just Keep collecting strays until the house bursts at the seams? If that's what it becomes, he said quietly, then yes. I blinked, surprised at how simple he made it sound. No hesitation, no orders, just agreement. I sat up straighter, narrowing my eyes. Wait a second. Are you telling me I'm the leader here? His gaze held mine, calm and unflinching. I'm afraid, so. I let the words sink in, then groaned dramatically, throwing an arm over my face. Fantastic. My lifelong dream. Responsibility. Torin's voice softened, edged with warmth. You've already been doing it. They follow you. I peeked at him from under my arm. Well, if I'm the leader, then I get to make decrees. He raised a brow. Decrees? Yes. Important ones. Life-changing. I leaned forward, lowering my voice like I was revealing a state secret. My first order as supreme commander of this ragtag pack, you're cooking dinner. The firelight caught the silver in his hair as his mouth finally curved into a real smile. Small, tired, but undeniably there. As you command, he said. And just like that, in a house that groaned and smoked and rattled in the wind, surrounded by people still learning how to breathe free, I laughed. It didn't sound like bitterness this time. It sounded like something new, like hope.